Good morning, sports fans. You're listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. I am Greg Malinchuk, and Bob Wiltman is in the room all by himself today.
I'm over here, and I'm happy to be here by myself. It gives me more room to spread out, put my snack cakes over there, and put my paper and put my feet up. This actually works out pretty well.
Wow.
Actually, it doesn't in the fact that we've had some great guests over the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
And wonderful last week. I really enjoyed talking to the soccer coach, the baseball coach.
Right.
We had them all.
Yep.
So, I mean, I loved it. That was phenomenal.
A lot of fun.
It really was a lot of fun. And I tip my hat off to Coach George, especially going over to the Netherlands, I believe it was, and playing competitive soccer with some of the local players. That's fantastic.
And they did very well.
They did wonderfully. And I'm not trying to glad hand it because he didn't. He said, well, we lost, but we're playing.
Right.
The fact is, though, just being able to go over and compete against European soccer, I think, is a real feather in everybody's cap because that's major league difference.
Yep.
So good for them.
So we've got a lot to talk about today.
Ton to talk about, and I'll let you do the opening.
Because I'll just say
I love it.
There's the U.S. Open at Erin Hills up there in Wisconsin. Pete Rose, he's in the news again.
Well, that's good. Those are all things we can talk about. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. Let's talk about Pete Rose first.
Okay.
What's going on with Pete?
Well,
he wants to get before he dies. He'd like to be put in the Hall of Fame.
Right, and I guess they've officially closed the door on that.
Yes, that's what I heard. So. And I hate to take. Don't hate to. I'm a conservative person by nature, so conservatively, I'm going to say that what he did was about as bad as you can do.
Right.
Now, as 40 years have passed, have I softened on it? Not in the sense that I think that he should go in, but what the worst thing they can do is after he passes is then put him in.
Yeah.
I don't get what that's going to accomplish.
Right.
If they do that, that will just infuriate me because, you can't bet on baseball. He'll never get in the Hall of Fame. Shut the book, close the door, and move on. But now that he's died, we've had second thoughts. I'm not going to like that. I'm afraid that might be where it's headed.
Right.
Because the argument's on the side, well, he's got more hits than anybody else in baseball history. He's got more than... Yeah, but he cheated, and, what's your stance? If you ask me...
It's funny because... depending on what day you ask me, because I go back and forth.
Well, I waffle a little bit, but here's the deal. If he's going to get in, put him in now.
Right.
If he's not, don't put him in. But do not. Here's what I just don't want. Once he's dead, well, now that he can't enjoy the satisfaction of knowing he's in the Hall of Fame, now we'll put him in. To me, that's just
that's beyond pettiness.
That is beyond pettiness. Is a very good description of what that is.
Yeah.
So my personal opinion is he took the pipe. He cheated. You don't bet on baseball when you're managing teams. And I don't want to quantify it, but he only bet on his team. He only bet that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
You don't do it.
Right.
And he did it. So and all the bleeding hearts. Oh, you got it, don't you? Can't just see? No. I can't because he knew what he was doing. And to make matters worse, he denied it and denied it and denied it when he came out. And then after he realized denying it wasn't going to get him in the Hall of Fame, then he came clean.
Well, I read, I read some articles about gambling and stuff, and that it's, these organizations say that it's a disease. That,
of course it is.
That it's uncontrollable.
Oh, I certainly agree with that. But by the same token, that's the argument on my side.
Right.
He can't control it, so don't tell me he said, well, I only bet on my game.
Right.
No.
Oh, no.
It doesn't work that way.
I totally agree with you there.
You're betting, if you're an uncontrollable gambler, who knows what the heck you're doing.
Because and I look at it this way, too. As a player, he wasn't throwing games.
No, you're right.
So,
but as a coach,
as a manager, sure,
you can.
Yeah, and that's the argument. Even if you're not throwing games per se, if you blow out your bullpen or something trying to win and then you lose the next 4 games, I mean that's
those are always because there's always two good arguments on each side.
Because I kind of look at it more as from a player standpoint that he goes into the Hall of Fame. I mean, he did. Well, I mean, I don't know what he did as a player. I'm sure as a degenerate gambler, I'm sure he was gambling all the time.
I'm sure he was.
You know, I just never, in all of these arguments, I've never heard that it was while he was a player. It was when he was a manager.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
So,
I agree with that. He might have done it when, but I don't care.
Right.
Because he's not affecting outcomes of games.
Right.
That's right. But the bottom line to the whole thing, if you ask me, should Pete Rose get in or should Pete Rose not get in? It's a three-step. First of all, I don't believe he should get in because what he did.
Right.
However, if you're going to put him in at some time, and this whole idea of making him age and then put him in a box and burying him underground and then saying, oh, we've had a change of heart, that's the worst.
Yeah.
The worst.
Yeah.
Beyond pettiness was a good description. If you're going to put him in eventually,
Right.
put him in now.
Right.
If you're not going to, then don't. But do not wait for him to die and then put him in. To me, that's that's abhorrent. I couldn't.
Yeah, and what I see, and I really, I mean, this isn't scientific, just from my gut feeling. It seems like the younger sports writers are more forgiving than these
there's no question.
than these older
the
ones.
the old coots are the
Yeah.
old coots.
Right.
I'm not even sure they're following baseball anymore.
Right.
But by the same token, the younger guys these days with social media and everything, they're all trying to make a name for themselves.
Yeah.
They all, I can get in my own TV show. I can get my own this. I can get my. They're willing to step out of the box and do
Yeah.
something outrageous. We see all these more and more outrageous TV shows, and everything is outrage.
Yeah.
How strange. How much further can I push the envelope? And I think you're going to find guys that are going to put. They're going to put guys in the Hall of Fame that have no business being in.
Right.
And there's nothing I can do about it. I don't have a vote.
You
I
know
don't
what?
have a say so.
You know, one of the things that's really coming down the pike, probably I'll say pretty quickly. I'll say in the next 4 or 5 years, you're going to have, you might have a baseball team in Las Vegas, and these states are clamoring to have sports betting. So
Well, if you legalize it, you legalize it. To me, it's a behavior type of thing.
right,
I can't. I'm all for free market. I'm an American.
right,
I'll teach my kids that it's bad to bet,
you're right,
but if it's legitimately okay to bet, then I have no problem with it. I don't think that. But I think it's going to be blanket. Either everybody bets on them. This it's only betting in this area. I don't like that.
right.
But obviously they're not going to try and listen to me.
Yeah.
But so my point is, Pete. Okay, getting back to Pete Rose, I said my stand on him. But the whole betting thing, I don't see why it hasn't just. It's a problem. You're going to have people. You have closet gamblers all the time.
Right.
Why not just bring it out?
Yeah.
I mean, it's guys are going to do it anyhow.
Yeah.
Whether you say it's legitimate or not legitimate, there's going to be crap games and betting things going on all over the place. Why not just say, okay, it's like, I mean, if we're legalizing marijuana in all the states, go, let's bet. I mean, what difference does it make
Right.
at this point? That sounds like a
Like
trite-
Hillary Clinton.
trite
What
thing.
difference does it
What
make?
difference does it make, truthfully? But that's where I stand on that.
Right.
But no, that's those are two interesting things out of the box. So I wasn't ready for Pete Rose, but I still had an opinion.
Sure.
And what else did you have? You had something else that you wanted.
Well, those are just some of the topics, that, I mean, obviously we'll talk about Major League Baseball.
We want to talk about Major League Baseball, but okay, I let you go.
All right.
So
It's your turn.
here's where I want to go.
Okay.
And I'm talking about women's golf. And
Uh-oh.
you would probably like this, but let's go into the failed to qualify. These are people that we have a women's golf tournament. It's an LPGA tournament, and it is in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Okay.
Nice place. So if you were 1 under or worse, you didn't qualify, which means
Wow.
that, and I don't know what her first name is, but her last name is Thanapul Banyaras. There's 16 letters in that, and I'm guessing she's probably got 13 or 14 in her first name. And I'm thinking,
I think her first name is Anne.
yeah, it's P for Pudge or Petsy or something. But the point I'm trying to make is, you think that's a lot.
Okay.
As I go down to +5, S, and again, I don't know what the S stands for, Santiwi Wathanafong, 19 letters. And I'm telling you, I hope these people don't make the cut. Actually, I hope they do make the cut, because I really want to hear the announcers
Right.
come up with some nicknames for these people, because if you're Santiwi Wathanafong is your last name, that's not the whole name, that's just your last name. And if your first name is like Swamikani, I mean,
Right.
holy mackerel. We're talking in the mid-30s for letters. I just want to hear the announcers get by. It used to be Thadapa Sonamapura was tough to say. That's like Al Smith when you start going to some of the other ones. But I just wanted to bring that up because I said, as I watch more and more, and obviously some more Korean and more Indian players and stuff that are obviously very good come in.
No overs in the golf though.
And real quickly, the over under in the women's tournament in Nottingham, England, in the semifinals. You have Magdalena Rybarikova beating Christian, but then Lucy Safarova defeated Svetlana Perenkova. So I mean that was a win-lose.
That was a wash.
You can't. Yeah, either way, you're going to come out with a winner and a loser on the overs. So it looks to me like one over lost, two overs won. It's a +1 on the overs.
Okay.
Not bad,
Right.
and that's in Nottingham, England. But keep your eyes peeled because one of them is probably going to win.
Now, I'm just sitting here listening to that, and I'm thinking of a sports betting business that we can develop. The
over under. I like it.
Yeah.
That's right. What's the over under on that? I like it, and we're going to be coming up to an over, and the Inas are coming too, over and Ina, because there's a lot of Svedinas and Vesninas and everything. So keep your eyes peeled. But right now the overs are running supreme and running all over women's tennis. But I really am going to root for P. Thanapol Bunyaras in the next tournament, along with Santiwi Wathanafong. And I really
You do those really well,
And I know I don't, but who would know?
Right.
I might do them better than anybody.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. You are listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We're sponsored by Bill Bryant, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. And their phone number is 352-787-2223. And if you want to be part of the show, our phone number is 352-315-1410. And we are back with Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. And our call-in number, if you want to be part of the show, is 352-315-1410.
Please give us a call too, because we say some outrageous things. Just trying to tease some callers to come on in. But we're perfectly happy that you're sitting in and joining us. And in this segment, before we get into, and we've got lots to talk about with baseball as always, but let's acknowledge the quote-unquote elephants in the room. You got the NBA, and we never did find out if it's the NBA final or the NBA finals. We still don't know if final has an S on it or it doesn't. But
they need to change it.
Yeah, they got it. It's either a finals, it's either an S or it's not.
Well, no, I think they need to completely.
Oh, they're going to have to call it
like
the Malinsook Open or something.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
yes.
right. Like the Wiltman Trophy or something.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that, but they do need to give it something, because you're right. You made the point off the air to me. You got the Stanley Cup.
Right.
You got the what do they even call the Super Bowl trophy? It's
the Vince Lombardi.
Vince Lombardi trophy, of course. That's right. So I mean, everything's got a title. But the NBA doesn't have anything except it's you won the final or the finals. They argue whether it's plural or not.
Right.
Great. Okay. So, and I can't tell the answer. It seems to me like it would be the final because it's only one, but there are a lot of little games within the finals.
That's right.
So, bottom line to the whole thing is that I'm more concerned about who's the best player of all time. Is it LeBron or is it Michael Jordan? I'm so happy that the season's over. And kudos to Golden State for doing what everybody thought they were going to do 8 months ago. And I brought up, and I like this, 8 months ago at this table, I still say, is the interest going to wane when you get 3 super teams? That's where you're going. You got Cleveland, you got Golden State, you got San Antonio. Now, I guess a lot of guys are going to jump ship at San Diego, and so maybe you'll get a 4th one.
Right.
Where, I don't know. But the point is, how can a team like Milwaukee or Seattle? I mean, how are they going to do it? I mean, they can't compete with that stuff.
Yeah.
Every year, am I going to pay $120 a seat for 2 seats for me and my wife or me and my kid to go season tickets to a game that we're not going to make the playoffs? And if we do, we're not going to get out of the first round. It just, I find that the competitive balance, and I'm not for rigging it. I'm just saying there's got to be some. I know they're trying to put something in place where they're giving financial incentives for guys to stay with the team they're playing for, right? Did you hear about that?
Yeah. Well,
it is kind of intriguing, but in other words, the league will pay money to a team for them to keep. Paul George is going to leave Indianapolis, but there's a big financial incentive for Paul George and for the Indianapolis the Pacers, to keep Paul George.
Right.
And I thought, well, that's an interesting premise, but prices have gone through the roof, and the naysayers will say, hey, ratings are up. I said, well, that's fine, but that's because you keep pushing LeBron,
right.
Michael Jordan, LeBron, Steph
Right.
Curry. Okay, that's fine. But
is LeBron James getting the Donald Trump treatment? No respect?
no respect. He got mad because Phil Jackson said something about he was going around with his posse, and a posse is to me a positive statement.
Yeah.
But LeBron took it not to mean.
Right.
Posse is like the worst thing you can call the people with you.
Right.
And sheriffs would be so complimentary of the posses that they carried around with them, But I'm just amazed that. To me, and I still find this, the NBA to me is there's a silliness to it, and I love. I played basketball,
Right.
but the rules are out the window now.
Yeah.
Dribble it wherever you want, take as many steps as you want, and be disrespected, and
Right.
trash talk, and put stuff on Instagram and tweet, and I just go, it's so, to me it's just childish. I hate to say this because I'm not a Popovich fan, only because of his political stances, but get somebody with. I don't want any superstars. Let's just get some good players and see if we can't play basketball. I can't.
Right.
I can't put up with the disrespect and who's better, Michael or LeBron, when they played in different eras with different teams against different players. It can't be.
That's where I disagree.
I
with
know.
you
I knew I could get. I knew I
like-
could get you into this. I knew it. That's why I brought it up, because last time I
It's
did this,
just
you
fun.
said it's not fun.
For me, it is.
Don't give me fun. Is it fun to watch 3 outfielders at the end of a baseball game come out and get around each other and wipe the dandruff off each other and do
No,
something?
no, I'm not.
Well, no,
I'm not
that's-
talking
it's-
about that.
well, I'm talking
just-
about the fun element of the sport. The fun element of the sport is not to. You can't do it. It can't be done intelligently. Well, you tell me how it can. How can you possibly have a discussion on who's better, LeBron James or Michael Jordan? How?
Just
What's your criteria? There's got to be a
I don't know.
criteria.
You just make it up as you go along.
Oh, okay, but that's the fun of it.
That is the fun
All right.
of it.
Well, then I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was better than both of them.
Well, you probably wouldn't be wrong.
Well, that's a stupid argument
why?
because they play different positions. First
Well,
of all,
okay.
they do. They're not.
Right.
And LeBron and Michael kind of play different positions too.
Right.
So I mean, it's just silly. And now they're going to be doing the Durant and Michael Jordan. And while I'm on this, speaking of rants. We're going to go into NHL for a little bit, but
Right.
this is now something that, and this is as old as the hills, and this is why I detest the media for the long. Any predictions on the game? We're going to win Game 4. Oh, Joe on the Spurs said that they guaranteed a win in
Right.
Game 4. Wait, and then if they win, Oh, we got to see Joe for another prediction. If they lose, nobody remembers Joe made an idiotic prediction. It's just, to me, it's just so blatantly. Let's get something to get this thing interesting, and I just find it detestable.
Right.
I'm dedicating this game to a sick child.
I think a lot of that stuff is over the top.
Well, that's why. But it's only going to get worse, Greg.
Yeah.
It's not going to slow down or decompress. It's going to blow up even more.
Right.
Well, I'm dedicating this game to 3 kids in the emergency room over at St. James Hospital. Well, I'm doing it to 3 kids and somebody up on the intensive care. I think, what? It's like a pitcher goes to pitch in baseball. The batter comes up. They both look up in the air, say a prayer, pound their chest, look up to God.
Right.
And now one of them is going to be failed. One of them is not going to get their job done with all the praying. So I just find that to be a tad tiresome. I'm not questioning their faith. I'm just saying it comes off showboaty to me. So don't know where you stand on that, but I think.
Well, it just reminds me of that episode of Seinfeld with Paul O'Neill in the hospital where Kramer is promising the little kid that Paul O'Neill's going to hit 2 home runs. It's like
I do remember that. But that's why I like Seinfeld, because it saw the idiocy and the hypocrisy of things like that, and it addressed them. I just find it totally, that what can be stupider than going to PK Subban after they've lost their first 2 games,
Right.
And then he says, "I guarantee you we're going to win Game 3."
right.
First of all, not if your team doesn't agree with you. I mean, you can guarantee it, but everybody else says, "Nah, we don't want it." And so they won, and everybody says, "Ooh, PK."
Hey, the phone's ringing here.
Let's get
I'm
it.
going to check this out.
Okay, this can't be good. We've got a phone call, and in the meantime, I will continue with my rants. But the fact of the matter is, I find it very tiresome, and we have fun with it. But the guys that are dedicating games to people and guys that are guaranteeing wins, and then when they're right, we act like Joe Namath predicting the win in the Super Bowl. What did he have to lose? And now, good grief, he parlayed that into a phenomenal career, both in football and in movies. But the fact of the matter is that it's a very, very tired way to go to hype up a game. Find one player and see if he can guarantee you a victory. What was that all about, Greg?
Actually, somebody calling in the call line for a question about the swap show or something.
I don't know that.
Yeah.
I can't help them, and I apologize for that.
And then I asked them if they had a sports question, but they said no.
No, if you don't know swap, you don't know slop. You don't know anything.
Right.
But no, I like I said, and I'll wrap this up to bed too. But I find it. Can't we be a little more creative? And I know we're a copycat society.
Right.
But now, I mean, PK Subban predicts a win for the Predators in Game 3. Well, it's a pretty safe bet. You're going to Nashville where you're 10-1 in the playoffs, and then, but after then it gets to be 3-2, and they ask him again. He goes, "Yeah, we have to win." yeah, I predict a win. We have to if we want to keep playing.
Right.
Wonderful, But to me, can't as journalists, can't we come up with something just a tad more creative?
Right.
But that's me. That's
well, I agree with you on that.
Good.
On that point. And
you're a fun-loving guy. I'm not. You want to see people have fun.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, that's good. I don't. You want to see people do triple somersaults when they come in off the baseball field. I don't. I don't want to see.
So you're not an Ozzie Smith fan?
Yeah, as a shortstop, not as an acrobat.
Okay. Well,
so there.
That was kind of his thing. For a while.
Yeah, but you're right. But everybody, even. I see where it's led to it's led itself to Sharpies and people pretending to call mom after they score a touch, and that leads to that.
Yeah.
And it's only going to get worse. It's not going to improve.
Yeah, I guess this isn't the same thing quite that I'm thinking about, but a lot of this comes down to like the journalists or whatever, sports writers or sports, whatever you want to call them, just being lazy.
That's all it is.
I
think you've nailed it on the head. Why should we do any research? This is a tried and true thing that's been done.
Talking about exit velocities and all that nonsense. Like, that's the great thing, like listening to Vin Scully. I, wish there were more like him, to tell these stories.
Yes.
While you're watching the game,
I love stories.
Yeah.
Stories I can relate to.
But this, which gets back to that woman on ESPN.
The one you don't like, Gonzalez or Rodriguez?
Menendez.
Menendez, okay.
And she was on the other night, and it was just torture. And I wound up, I think I just wound up turning off the volume. I couldn't listen. I couldn't have the radio on because it was it was a New York Yankee game, and there was no radio broadcast that you can get. It's just endless stats and stuff like that. It's like, and quite frankly, I don't really care about her children either.
But
I don't know.
I'm kind of with you on that. I find that to be very, very tiresome, and I just but I didn't give the due to the Warriors. They won 4 out of 5 games,
right?
And they got the same team in place for the next 2 or 3 years minimum,
right?
So it behooves everybody in the league to get as good as them, or you're not going to compete with them. And Cleveland, with LeBron spending money, they'll probably find a way to get somebody to compete with them.
Right.
But it's going to be the same deal. You're going to keep getting the same 2 teams, and until there's a balance. And I'm not seeing the balance happening. Maybe I'm wrong. But that's, like I said, that's the NBA in a nutshell. I know around here they love Orlando. Orlando got a long way to go.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to watch a lot of basketball games in Orlando before you see them have a good competitive team. Now that being said, apparently they got some good people in place now with Weltman. I mean, they got some good people. Right. So we'll see what that gives. And I also wanted kudos to the Penguins for. It's not easy to win anything. Not winning, it's really hard to win anything back to back,
right?
And all of the players deserve. Nashville deserves credit too. Nashville, truthfully, as a hockey fan, and I'm from Pittsburgh, so I rooted for the Penguins. Nashville outplayed them more than Pittsburgh outplayed them, but Pittsburgh's got a couple elite players that Nashville couldn't start. There's nobody they could have that come down. Crosby and Malkin and Kessel, they draw a lot of attention, so they get other guys wide open.
Right.
So you get guys, you go, where did he come from? And he's got the goal, and Crosby's got an assist. And Crosby is getting his due as a great player. Do I put him in a league with Gretzky? Absolutely not. But I also think that he's, at this time in his era, he's as good as there is right now, without being a flashy player. He's not a smooth skating. He's kind of a hard work.
He's a colossal jerk, though.
He's a wise guy. You know what? And
wise guy's a whiner.
Well,
but I respect him as a player. But
you're giving him respect. That's going to matter to him. In fact, he said the only thing I want is Greg's respect.
He has it. He just better be careful because I might just yank it back out again.
Well, the fact of the matter is, but the good thing about hockey as opposed to NBA, hockey can turn it around in a year, and the Rangers have a nice foundation in place.
Right.
The Blackhawks always have a nice foundation in place. All they have to do is get 1 or 2 guys, and Edmonton's got these good young players just crawling out of the woodwork joining them. There's going to be a change into the guard, and that's what's good about it. There's not one guy impacts the game to where, like LeBron or Kevin Durant, they impact the game in the NBA. I mean, LeBron's going to win the game by himself if you put guys, just because he'll challenge guys to hack him and he'll back in.
All right, I'm going to turn it political.
I love it. Let's do it.
Because
I'll tell you what. As a fair warning, we're going to go.
Okay.
We're going to hit a break here. Right. Do you want to carry it before? Okay,
I'll start it because we're talking about the NBA champion and the NHL champion.
Oh, I know where you're going. I know where you're going with it. Yeah,
One's
this is
going to the White House. The other one's not.
Yeah.
So it's
But
and well, I'll just say this: the Penguins are going because they said it's the respectful thing to go.
the
to do.
Penguins are owned by they have a liberal management.
Right.
But they're at least smart enough to realize that it's publicity for them,
Right.
and it's respectful.
Right. And the what's their names? The Golden State's not going because they have a political disagreement with the president. So
Well,
that,
I hope if and when they win next year,
right.
they don't get invited.
Yeah.
I mean, and Trump, to his credit, will come out and say they want to come last year.
Right.
I don't want them this year.
Yeah.
And I'll be perfectly fine with that. But that's a good thing you brought up. That's a real interesting point. We can go after we come back, a couple more thoughts on that, because
Okay.
that's a good point.
All right. Cliffhanger.
Yep.
Alert. You are listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We're sponsored by Bill Bryant, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their phone number is 352-787-2223. Our phone number is 352-315-1410 to be part of the show. Give us a call. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors. We are back with Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. And
I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about that interesting point you brought up.
Okay.
Because I want to know what you think the league should do. I would love to see Golden State win next year and not get invited.
Right.
I would love it.
Yeah.
It probably won't happen, but that's what I'd like to see. If you think you're above the president and you're snubbing the president, it's going to happen because, and maybe I've got a different socioeconomical perspective on this than most people, but it is a fairly liberal league in the sense that it's a huge number of minority players.
Right.
Huge number. Huge number of big liberal cities.
Yeah.
2 teams in New York, 2 teams in the West Coast, 2 teams in the East, and you got Seattle, you got Golden State, you got Chicago. Your major teams, and so I guess they think that they're playing to their base, but I think they should be careful because what they're going to do is they're going to turn off a lot of fans.
Yeah.
I think.
Well,
I personally think. And I'm talking about Golden State. People are going to. There are people now that I think will go watch Golden State. Not a lot of them,
right.
but some that'll boo them and just say, who do you think you are?
Well, unfortunately, I think by the time the season starts again, people will forget.
You are exactly right. Nobody has shorter attention or memory spans than sports fans.
But
you're right about that.
I mean, the NBA really turned me off years ago. I'm not a hip hop guy.
Well, no, I'm not either, and that's okay. But I appreciate good basketball players. So but by the same token, the league has become so star marketed. They desperately need their stars.
Right.
And so the game doesn't sell itself. I don't think that the marketing department has to really, really pull.
Okay.
Some rabbits out of their hat. Yeah.
I know you hate this, but now I'm going to ask you this question.
Yeah.
If LeBron James was playing in the era of Michael Jordan, with tighter controls on the rules and hand checking, is he as good a player as he is today?
We'll never know.
Yeah.
Because he would adjust his game. I think he's the best player in the league.
For sure.
I think he has the ability to adjust his game to any style.
Right.
And I think he would probably find a way to maximize his abilities to help out his team in the best way possible back in that era. And by the same token, do I think Michael Jordan would have been more of a force than he was in his era? Now, Probably, but I'll never know.
See, wasn't that fun though? That was fun.
That's no fun. I said that I a sneer on my face the whole time I was talking about it. But you know what? To bring that up one more time, and we're going to talk about S. Santiwiwathathonafong. I'm serious. I'm ready to pull out the video and analyze her golf swing. So,
all right, I'll be quiet.
But no, the bottom line to the whole thing is that never used to be a political thing.
Yeah.
And for somebody to make it a political thing,
right?
But it's the culture, and we have to. That's why I'm so anti. I'm so counterculture. Facebook, Twitter. I understand the benefits, and I also understand the silliness of it.
Right.
To see people think that they're, you're breeding the thought that they're more important than they are,
right.
And that's you get what you get.
Yeah.
I mean, so a lot more celebrations, a lot more 3 outfielders coming around and pose for pictures and stuff at the end of the game.
Yeah, well, I don't like
when
that.
it starts to happen in hockey, I'm going to vomit, and I know it's going to.
I don't know about that. I don't. Hockey's different. I think.
I hope it is, but still guys celebrate goals. But the first thing a guy scores when he gets a goal, he celebrates, and he starts looking for the guy that passed him the puck, because that's how they do it.
Right.
They run out, and there's the guy that set me up.
Yeah.
He'll point to him, he'll skate over to him, and he'll give him a hug.
Right.
And I think that I can live with, but I can't live with the I did it all myself attitude. And
Right.
I get that. Guys make a dunk basketball, they come down and they beat their chest like they did it.
Right.
No, somebody threw you the ball.
Yeah.
Somebody found you wide open under the bound. How about giving him some credit? But they don't do it. They're not, because it turns around to he's got to go back and play defense, although he won't.
Yeah.
The guy that scored. So.
Interesting thing, like comparing the two sports, like
Yeah.
hockey and basketball. Boy, they're both team sports, obviously, but the one that's really the team sport is hockey.
Oh, there's no question.
Because you look at like Wayne Gretzky, use him as an example. If he didn't have like Mark Messier and a couple other guys,
Yari Curry, Mark Messier, they were Grandfield. They had a very, very, very good team. Paul Coffey,
because Gretzky was not a physical guy.
No, gosh, no.
So he actually needed those guys because the interesting thing is Mark Messier won a Stanley Cup without Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky never won a Stanley Cup without Mark Messier. So,
Well, it's interesting. You're right, and you brought up an interesting point. But the league did protect the heck out of Gretzky because they realized what a marketable person they had, and and they've done it also with. Well, Ovechkin they didn't do it because he's a bull.
Right.
But Crosby, until he shut his mouth off and started, and then they figured out if he gets belted, he gets belted.
Right.
They protected him for like a year, and they said, okay, he's asking for it,
Right.
so he's going to get nailed.
Right.
That's okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
But Gretzky, you couldn't lay a glove on.
Right.
You couldn't check him.
well, yeah, you couldn't play him dirty, but
No.
I think more so than the league was his teammates. And
Oh,
that was,
he was
because
gifted.
if
He was
you-
gifted.
yeah.
Like Jordan was gifted with great players in
Yes.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Gretzky was gifted with great players in
Right.
Edmonton.
Right.
No question.
And not to diminish his talents, because he was an incredibly talented.
Oh, he was.
player.
The league has not seen his skating and puck handling ability now, but he's not the physical presence.
Right.
Now, a lot of the superstars, the Connor McDavids,
Yeah.
the Ovechkins. I mean, they come down. They'll knock you through the
Right.
wall. Eric Lindros.
Yeah, they're
that's-
like 230, 240.
Yeah, they're big, big horses.
Yeah, yeah.
But Gretzky was not. Gretzky was he was a little slinky. I'm coming in and I'm going to score 2 goals and get 2 assists.
Right.
And if you touch me, here comes all my buddies
Right.
from the 4th line.
Right.
They're going to take your head off. I mean but he was a remarkable
Yeah.
talent. Lemieux. Almost as much, but he physically couldn't hold up.
Yeah, he had some
couldn't-
injuries.
he had injuries and
he was
disease.
another one that was a bull, as you put.
But he wasn't. He was a horrible fighter. Remember, he threw his gloves down one time and had a fight with some guy, and the guy like knocked him flat. And the guy said, "That's the first fight I've ever won in my life. Mario stood there, and the guy just cold cocked him. That was it. Mario's on the ground holding his face, and I said, "Well, this was a bad idea." I always wondered if he could fight. No, he can't. But no, truthfully, Gretzky still. Gordie Howe is probably considered to be the greatest old-time era player, and Gretzky the new wave.
And speaking, you bring up Gordie Howe. I guess his name is coming off the Stanley Cup. They've run out of room, and they're taking one of the bands off, and Gordie Howe and the Richards and are all going to not be on the Stanley Cup anymore.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's interesting, but I mean, they're not going to get another one, huh? You don't want to carry around 2 cups. Right. It might be another problem 100 years down the road.
Right.
But and by the way, I wanted to tell you, I really liked the commercial that they ran during the Stanley Cup. Did you watch any of the Stanley Cup?
I did, but I don't remember what
The commercials were where they have the old-time players spelling their names.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was kind of clever.
Yeah.
You had the Hulls,
Right.
Brett and Bobby Hull. You got Fedorov from Russia. You got Lemieux. You got Gretzky, Trottier. I mean, and then they finished with Orr. And, Orr still, to me, love Gretzky, love Lemieux, love Crosby's a good. Orr was I just liked watching Bobby Orr play.
Yeah.
And that's a shame because he's only 30 when he had to basically get out because his knees were bad. But boy, could he go end to end with the puck like nobody's business.
Right.
Really a great player. I love the fact that they have him at the end, just ORR. I like that. But so I like that a lot. But I just wanted to acknowledge our champions, the NBA champion, the Golden State Warriors.
Right.
Fantastic year. Everybody knew you were going to win, but you know what? Sometimes it's everybody's against you.
Yeah.
When for you to stand there and come back, and just like the Penguins, if you come back and you can repeat in a sport that's that tough and takes that much of a grind, that is the ultimate team sport. I agree with you. Hockey, you can have the greatest player in the world and come in last.
Yeah.
Because the other players aren't marginally that much different.
Right.
But it's how you play as a unit.
Yep.
And nobody's shooting 70 points. You don't get Kobe shooting for 70 or something. It's just guys go out and work hard. And so for that, I give them all accolades. I think it's fantastic. So moving right along, we've got a few other things to talk about. And I want to talk about baseball. And we're going to spend a whole hour talking about baseball.
All right.
But
So,
go ahead. I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
If we're holding out on some baseball, I'll just bring up this some NASCAR stuff.
Oh, absolutely. That's great. I appreciate that.
Kyle Larson won the pole for the
for which race?
The Firekeepers Casino 400 at the Michigan International Speedway.
Wow. What city is that in? Do you know?
I do not know.
I don't either. I'm gonna have to see if I can figure that out. It's got to. That doesn't. I don't think it's saying. It's got to be upstate upstate Michigan or. I gotta believe that.
Well, I know it's one of the big ones in their circle.
Well, hats off to him.
202 miles per hour.
That's moving.
Yep.
Okay. You're not going to see that on Route 460 or 441.
I think you do occasionally.
Guys with golf carts even. Yeah. I'm surprised that they haven't. Taking care of that. A couple. I'm glad you brought that up, and a couple other people I want to acknowledge. Brooke Pancake is 4 under. Well, I love that name. She's one of the women tour golfers, and she made the cut. She's -4. So Brooke Pancake, really one of the really great names. And I'll tell you, we got time right now to touch on this because this has really been eating at me. It finally came back to roost, this Louisville basketball program.
Oh, yeah.
And if he did something, punish him.
Right.
If he didn't do something, don't punish him.
Right.
But don't, a slap on the wrist like he got is, you did something, but we can't figure out what it was. I mean, to me, why? 5 games? 5 games. You're going to sit him out?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, but here's the problem about what they talk about, like taking away scholarships and vacating wins, which is ridiculous, or stopping or vacating championships. Like I think the the NCAA has done that in the football. They haven't done it in basketball, but they've done it in football. You know, it's ridiculous, and that doesn't hurt. It wasn't really. Well, you could say it's sort of the players' faults because they did engage and, you know, they didn't say no, I guess. But
well, they're like kids in a candy store.
Yeah,
they're like 18 years old.
right.
They're like, what? I mean, that's pretty.
But it's not their fault, yet you punish them, you know, for the sins of somebody 4 years ago that they had no idea.
You're right.
You know?
I agree with that. But like I said, but Patino was involved.
Well, yeah. Well,
so
you know what you do to Patino?
No.
You take away a lot of money. You know.
I don't think they did.
No, they didn't. But I'm just saying that's how you hurt those guys. You know, you sit him down, he's still making his money.
What's amazing is I was laughing as I was reading about it in the paper, and even they talk about it on the television. And I think, boy, and for some reason, he had strippers and hookers on campus,
right?
And it hasn't. And all of these allegations haven't hurt his recruiting, but heck no. Guys are like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
Let's go check out Louisville.
Right.
I wasn't even considering going there for,
Right.
you know, as a school that I was going to consider, but
You know,
let's go take a look at it.
I don't know what his contract is, and it no doubt it's multi-million dollars, you know. But so if you hit him with a $3 or $4 million fine, and then on top of that, you don't take away any of their scholarships or anything.
Why not?
Because it hurts the players. It doesn't.
He's got players under scholarship now.
I understand that, but what my point is, you fine them a ton of money, and then you let the players who are on the current team, you let them go. If they want, they can go to another college without any penalties, you know,
No,
for them.
they're going to be top 5. They're going to rally around Coach Patino.
Oh, okay, but that's their choice. I just think vacating wins, you know, that's like what they used to do in the old Soviet Union. You know, like some guy fell out of favor, so all of a sudden he disappeared. But you knew he was there. You know, it's like you knew they won the championship.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, so they're going to vacate it, and it's like,
Well, I just hate the mamby-pamby approach to it.
Yeah.
Either come out and say he did it, and we're going to fine him, and we're going to do this, or he didn't do anything wrong, but this, we think he might have done something, and that doesn't ring true to me at all.
Yep.
So,
Right.
so the girl blowing the whistle on him, I mean, well, they probably paid her off too. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it won't hurt his recruiting. I guarantee you, they'll be a top 4 team.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we got 1 hour in the books already. It's flying by. You are listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410. We're sponsored by Bill Bryant Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. And we will be right back after these messages. We are back with Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, your community service radio station here in Lake County. And we are talking a potpourri of
A
sport.
veritable, a cornucopia of sports delights.
That's right.
But the thing that we haven't talked about, the big news going on right now, is the U.S. Open
Right.
in Erin Hills, and about 40 miles out of Milwaukee.
Right.
And watching the golf course, I have to admit I knew nothing about it. Really looks fantastic. It's a links course, and it's wide open. But for you big hitters that you miss one, good luck finding your ball. I mean, it's okay, but once you hit it in the crap, you can just add a couple more strokes to your score for that hole. What's interesting, and I think it's probably anybody that's a golf fan knows the news is the top 3 golfers in the world, according to the rankings of the golfers,
Right.
didn't make the cut, and they packed their bags and they're gone. Jason Day, Dustin Johnson, and Rory McIlroy. They're all gone. They didn't make the cut, and obviously they didn't hit the ball straight. So, but it's really fascinating because I've never seen a tournament where the leading golfers, and there's I think 4 of them tied at 7 under, the guys that made the cut only one over. In other words, everybody is still in the golf tournament.
Yeah.
And that's amazing to me. Usually you have tournaments where the leader's 14 under and the cut's like +2. So the guy's like 16 strokes behind them,
Right.
but he still made the cut. Here, everybody turns around. Somebody shoots lights out. No matter how bad they've played, they're in this tournament and they have a chance to win it.
Right.
So anybody that's still in the draw who's +1, like the Matt Kuchers and stuff. I mean, it's amazing that they have stayed in the tournament, but they're there. I
Yeah.
mean, get hot once, and two guys shot 65 yesterday. They shot 70. One shot 74 the first round. One shot 75 the first round. You'd think, oh boy, they're out of it. No, they're 2 strokes out of the lead because they shot 65s and they're there. So everybody's there. And I'm looking at the top 10 golfers, and here's some names you haven't heard: Xander Schauffele, Siwoo Kim, Cameron Champ, and Jamie Lovemark. And there's 4 of the top 10. I mean. So Cameron Champ's an amateur. Obviously, if you hit the ball straight, this course is rewarding. But I love watching it because it's not trumped up. It's not It's not gimmicky. It is hit it straight, hit it far, hit the right club. The greens are really nice. You'll probably score well. However, you make a bad shot somewhere, going to cost you a stroke, maybe 2.
Right.
And that's exactly the way a U.S. Open should be.
All right. I'm going to ask you a broader question.
I like it.
In golf now, it seems in the last couple of years, every major event, and then these minor ones as well, there's been a different winner. Do you think that is hurting golf?
No,
does it
gosh.
help? You think it helps it?
No, because I think golf has realized what I've always suspected. The images of the top players, it's a factory. Golf was going to collapse when Tiger Woods went out of the game. Golf hasn't collapsed or gone anywhere.
Right.
It's doing every bit as fine, but now new people have ascended to the throne, quote unquote.
Well, but not really.
Well, but the image makers. Well, you can see who's doing the commercials. Dustin Johnson's the man.
Right.
Here's a guy. He's got his girlfriend had they just had their second baby.
Right.
His girlfriend is the daughter of Wayne Gretzky. I mean,
Right.
so he's a maverick in the sense that he's not traditional. It's not like he's married and
Right.
nobody says, "Yo, he's going to be married soon." After about how many kids? 5.
Right.
Yeah, I guess that's cool too. I have nothing against him for that. That's his business. But the fact of the matter is, you got Dustin Johnson. You got Ricky Fowler.
Right.
They're trying everything. If Ricky Fowler could win this tournament, and he might, you're going to see a new Arnold Palmer-like person at the helm of American golf,
Right.
because everybody loves Ricky Fowler. When he came up, he had the long ratty hair, and now he's got a great swing. He has a good temperament. You see, he's getting the commercials now,
Right.
And if he starts to win majors, he'll be the new Tiger. Everybody's going to be watching what Ricky Fowler does.
One of the things, with Tiger Woods, though, he dominated. He won so many, of those tournaments.
You're right.
And now
He earned it.
Now sure. And now you have just like a bunch of different guys. Every tournament seems like there's a different winner.
But is that bad?
Well, that's my question. I mean,
okay.
Is it good for golf, or is it good to have like a Tiger Woods kind of guy who dominates?
Sure.
Or is it better to have what's going on right now with a bunch of different players winning one event? And
Is it better to have a guy like Tiger Woods dominate? Yeah. Is it better to have a group of guys winning every different? Yeah.
Okay.
To me, it's. I have
So there is no either or. You
how
think
can
it's
there?
both good?
But how can there be? Because what are people going to turn off their sets because a different guy's winning every year, every week? I don't think so. In fact, all it does is build the drama to the majors more.
Yeah.
My question to you: Who won the tournament last week?
I don't know.
That's my point.
Right.
My point is, though, if he starts to play well, Everybody will get on it. He's getting commercials already. His name's Daniel Berger.
Right.
Daniel Berger's done about 3 commercials since in the last 2 weeks, and he was a good player. He had won multiple times before he won last week, and nobody's ever heard of him.
Right.
He's 24 years old. It's just the. You remember Michelle Wee? Michelle Wee hadn't won anything, and she was in 50 commercials.
Right.
It's sometimes they select somebody because of their looks or
Yeah.
because of the target audience they're trying to reach, whatever.
Right.
Golf now, I like the fact that, and you've probably seen, if you ever watch the golf,
Yeah.
okay, the commercials now have 40 of the top pros in them, just saying, I choose Titleist. I mean,
Right.
that here's Adam Scott, here's Henrik Stenson, here's 7 of the top 8. I play Titleist. I mean, and that's all they do.
Right.
And they show them like taking a swing on the tee, and that's it. I mean, they're not coming in and say, I think you should buy Titleist because it's the best ball.
Right.
They don't. They just, I play Titleist. What do you play, Adam Scott? A Titleist. You know, it's, so I think they're economizing and they're smart. Would it be nice for golf? Only in the sense that Tiger Woods started chasing Jack Nicklaus's records,
Yeah.
and that's when it became a big deal. He was a big deal, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But there were people that rooted against him, and there were people that rooted for him. He was never a nice guy.
Right.
He was a cover up the microphone when
Yeah.
he hit a bad shot type of guy,
Right.
and blame the photographer. He'd turn around and say, "Could you shut up while I'm trying?" You know,
Right.
almost McEnroy. I have no problem with it because that's how much concentration he had and he needed.
Right.
So not a problem, but he was never your yuck it up, happy-go-lucky. And they tried to make him so in some of the commercials, but you'd see him on the golf course. He'd swing and hit it in the weeds and
Yeah.
swing his club in disgust or throw it down or bang it into the
Well,
ground.
you know, the thing about Tiger Woods that I soured on him was when I started to hear actually he's a pretty nasty person to just like fans and the general public, and you know, it's
We'll
like,
never know.
I don't have time for people like that.
Well, you know, but the thing is, that's the problem with Facebook today too. And let me segue. Just like I said, one of the things I'd heard, and again, I'm being from Western Pennsylvania, was what a complete jerk Ben Roethlisberger was.
Right.
And I was at the Pittsburgh airport waiting to go on a plane, and he was going on not the same plane, but he was going on. He was going to the West Coast, and he was there dressed in a beautiful suit. I guess he was going to be visiting his agent, and absolutely, I'm being honest there, maybe a 400-pound, I'm calling her attractive, but a girl,
Right.
probably 21. She went up and she wasn't shy about it. I'd really like a picture with you. He said, sure.
Okay.
I mean, now I could walk away and say, what a great guy Ben Roethlisberger is. Or then again, maybe one of his agents said, Ben, for God's sake, next time somebody asks you for a picture and there's people around,
Yeah.
say okay.
Right.
So you really don't know. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? You're going to get tweets. He didn't sign my autograph. He
Yeah,
was great. So
although
you
I-
can't really tell.
I understand what you're saying, but I've heard this not from really social media. It's been, you know, like reporters
Okay.
talk about like the way he treats people.
I'll buy
But
it.
and I remember, you know, I want to juxtapose this because you had a great story about Arnold Palmer at a golf event you were.
Yeah. He purposely made his guy driving his cart go right up through maybe 100 golf carts for a shotgun.
Right.
Heads up, Mr. Palmer's coming, and he purposely he greeted everybody.
Right.
Hey, play well today. Hope you enjoy the course. Blah, blah, blah. And I mean, he didn't have to do it.
Right.
But he was past his prime. I mean, this isn't when he was still winning big tournaments.
Right.
He was, but he knows everybody's there, and he's down there teaching. He was teaching kids on a putting green, and they said, "Well, you can go different ways back to the clubhouse." And he said, take me up through,
Right.
so I can see everybody."
See, those are the stories I love.
But that's a good story.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, like, my dad hated Arnold Palmer. Hated him. Not a good golfer. All he can do is hook the ball, blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, you know, he's done a pretty good job niching out a career.
That's right.
Is he Jack Nicklaus? No. He's never, as far as a golfer goes, he was probably in the top 5 for a little bit, but for shaping shots, he could hook, Lee Trevino could slice, Nicklaus and Gary Player could hit any shot in the world.
Right.
And when they were the big 4, that's how that went down.
Yeah.
But Arnie, you know, the fact that he was nice to people and he had
Sure.
charisma and stuff, that's what you want to see.
Yeah.
That's when he died. All the golfers today, the guys that are 25 making $1 gazillion. No, it's because of Arnie.
Yeah.
So they're going to say, "Thank you, Mr. Palmer." That's because he created it.
Right.
And that's great.
Yeah.
And Tiger could have been there too.
Yeah.
Tiger could have. He was involved in creating. Now he's created distractions.
Yeah.
Now instead of wondering who's winning the tournament, everybody wants to know when's Tiger coming back.
Right.
He's not coming back. At least not this year.
Right.
He's having surgeries, and then we learn our lesson. All we cared about for 4 months. He's going to come back for this tournament. He's going to come back. He's going to come back. Finally, he's back. Went out and hit like 10 golf shots. It was 4 over after 9 holes, and he quit. He said, "I can't do it."
Yeah.
And I think, was that worth all the hype? Let him go out and shoot under par a couple rounds, and then you can get excited about it. Then I will, but not when he's barely, getting into,
Yeah.
He's lucky he can tee it up. That's just my opinion on that. But no, I'm glad you brought that up about Palmer. But the golf. So the bottom line is the big golfers are gone. The even the shorter golfers that can shape shots are still in this tournament.
Right.
And I'm rooting openly for Martin Keimer. I don't think he's going to win, but I always thought he had a good demeanor for the game. I like Ricky Fowler. I wouldn't mind seeing Ricky Fowler win.
Right.
He seems like an ambassador for the sport.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't know him. He might go home and kick his dog for all I know. I don't know. But I'm just glad to see the golf course, because I think they stuck their neck out a little bit going to this golf course, and now I think they're really proud because the course is it's long, it's wide open, and if you try to hit it a little farther than you should and you hit it in the crap, there's 2 strokes.
Yeah.
You'll never get it out of that.
Well, my guy that I like to root for is Jordan Spieth, and unfortunately, he's 7 behind the leader.
Which is nothing.
Yeah.
Jordan Spieth, like anybody else, can shoot 64 on this course if he's putting. And once he shoots 64, boom, he's within 1 or 2 strokes of the lead going into the last day. That's what's great about the tournament right now.
Yeah.
There are guys here. I told you, Xander Schauffele, Siwoo Kim, Cameron Champ, Tommy Fleetwood from Britain. He looks like some kind of street urchin. He's unshaved. His hair's down his back. What a golfer, man! Guy's a good golfer. Paul Casey. Your two guys. The 2 guys at the top of the leaderboard are.
That's like a good. What's that? That Wheel of Fortune, the double thing. You could have Fleetwood McElroy.
Yeah, Fleetwood McElroy. I like that. But that's the fact of the matter is they're all set, and I don't mind a bit that the top. I mean, I like Jason Day. I like McElroy. I mean, I think the top 3 golfers are all great, but isn't that cool that they picked a course out that's very good, very fair, and the 3 top golfers in the world could make the cut.
Right.
So shows how tough it is if you don't give the course the respect it deserves. So they didn't respect this course, obviously. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm ready now. We got 2 more segments, and it's Baseball City. So unless you've got something else you want to go into.
I'll have one question for you about golf.
Perfect. Well,
it up.
I'll save it, and then we'll rock on. I'll go into my baseball rant. Super.
Right.
Thank you.
Good. You are listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410. We are sponsored by Bill Bryant Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their phone number is 352-787-2223. And I just want to say that we really appreciate their sponsorship. They're a good group of people down there. So if you get a chance, go in and give them a visit and look and see what they got. They probably have something you'll like. We'll be right back after this. We are back with Red Zone Radio Sports here in WQB2, the voice of Lake County, and so I just have one question.
I don't like where this is going, but let's do it.
All right. So, like when a hockey team gets eliminated, from the playoffs, or a baseball team doesn't make the playoffs or whatever, they usually go play golf. what do golfers do when they don't make the cut?
Fish.
Okay. All right.
They do.
Yeah.
They go out. Every golfer that I've seen, although Spieth, I guess, goes out and surfs. I mean, depending on where they're playing. When he did make the cut in Hawaii,
Right.
he and Justin Thomas were out there on surfboards. But most of the golfers are fishermen.
Because I like that old joke. It's like, what's orange and black and plays golf in April? The Philadelphia Flyers.
That was my old that's my old softball joke when I used to say, "What comes after Wiltman? The leadoff hitter." Always batting last is always great to see that. But and last thing, we'll get to baseball. But one of the things what I like about the tournament right now, listen to some of these guys, and these guys are within 4 or 5 strokes of the lead after 2 rounds.
Right.
Ernie Els is there. Sergio is there. I mean, Sergio's 3 back. Cameron Champ, who's an amateur, is 2 strokes behind after the 2 rounds. He shot 2 great rounds. He didn't go sky and then lights out. He shot 70-69. He's right there. Si Woo Kim, 2 strokes behind.
Right.
I'm just looking. This is great. Ernie Els is 47 or 48 years old, and he's right there. I mean, all he has to do is put 1 good round together, and that'll be the talk of the tournament. Will he? Probably. I don't think so. He looks like he's having some hip issues or something. He kind of walks with a limp. But Louis Oosthuizen, Stuart Sink, they're even 6-7 strokes back. That's nothing. One good round, and boom, you're right there.
Right.
Spieth, 1 good round. Spieth's there. Spieth can shoot a 65 today, 7 under par for the tournament. He'll be within 2 strokes of the lead.
Right.
And that's what you want. So, Spieth and Fowler. Spieth probably isn't as warm and fuzzy as Ricky Fowler in terms of the public image, but he seems like a real solid citizen.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem. He's not an excuse maker, which I really like.
Right.
He takes it all on himself if he hits a bad shot. And what I liked about it, I don't know if you know, I watched some of it yesterday. So he's hitting shots and he's complaining as they're in the air, and then they're like 10 feet away.
Right.
He went, "Oh no, Jordan!" And it's right there. So even the announcer said, "Jordan's probably just doing that so he can say, oh, that worked out pretty well." But enough of golf. But that was cool. Now let's talk about baseball. And one of the things I want to do is talk about the teams that are getting it done and the teams that aren't. And the teams that are getting it done, pure and simple, are the and they're even they're 3-7 in their last 10 games, but Houston obviously has found some magic elixir where they're 11 games up on LA and Texas, which makes me think that the division's basically over. Because I think if Houston goes 500 the rest of their games, I say they win that division in a walkaway.
Right.
So that's where I am. If I thought L.A. without Trout is their 500 team, which is exactly what they are. Texas is a 500 team because they don't have a good pitching, and the Seattle and Oakland aren't. No, I just don't see them getting in the mix at all.
No.
Too many gaps. But you got to give it to Houston, and I was telling you off mic that the teams that are really impressing me now that I didn't see this coming at all at the beginning of the year. If you go to the National League and you go to the West Division, I see that Colorado. This is interesting. After 69 games played, they're all tied for first. I mean, they're basically, or a half game separates them.
Right.
Colorado, Los Angeles, Arizona, they're all 43-26 or 42-26. And then San Diego and San Francisco are like 15 games under 500.
Yeah.
But I didn't see Colorado coming at all. And it might have been our friend, was it Kenny?
Yeah.
That might have, did Kenny picked Arizona,
He
I
did.
think. Yeah. And he saw that, and I just went, are you crazy? Well, they're there. And Greinke's actually been on a paternity leave or something. I mean, I give him all the credit in the world, but those are probably going to be your 3. Well, whoever wins that, it looks like the other 2 teams have the wild card basically locked up.
Yeah.
So, so the good news, whoever wins, the other 2 are going to, kick and claw and play each other.
Arizona's on a tear right now.
They really are.
They won 5 in a row, and they're 8-2 in their last 10.
Which is fantastic.
Yep.
It's fantastic. So, I'm just amazed. Look at the last. Arizona's 8-2. Colorado and LA are 7-3 in the last 10 games.
Yeah,
these are the teams that are winning.
Yep.
And there's nothing to get in the way. And I look, and you think, oh well, who's LA got that's so good? Excuse me. Who's LA got that's so good? Some pitcher named Wood pitched for them yesterday. He pitched 8 innings, gave up 4 hits, 1 run, 5 strikeouts, no walk. He's 7-0. Do you know who A. Wood is?
No.
What's Wood's first name?
I don't know.
I don't know who he is.
Neither
but
do
he's
I.
7-0. He's going to make the All-Star team. And and while we're talking Dodgers, let's talk a little. You see, Puig. Let's talk Mr. Puig.
Mr. Fingerman.
Yeah, he. I guess life isn't good enough for you when you're in first place. They had to give a double finger to the who was it? Fans in the and I thought, probably not a good idea because it's on film, right? They caught him. They caught him doing.
Well, he hit a home run and he was circling the bases.
He whipped the bird out. That's
Yep.
nice. Well, I'm sure somebody talked to him, but I'm sure it won't change him at all. He's still the lovable person you love to hate.
Right.
Although I guess I don't know if the fans love him in L.A. or not. But I'll tell you what.
Well, that's the fans that were giving him a hard time. So,
Okay. Because he, but the L.A. now with this Seager and Bellinger and, I mean, good grief. Do you know who the second baseman is for the Dodgers?
No.
Chase Utley.
Oh, wow.
He's hitting 234.
Right.
But talking about reclamation, they got a lineup that's really good, and I'm not on the West Coast, but their pitching staff that's just incredible to me. If you got a guy out there 7-0, and you got Kershaw, and you got they have another pretty dominant pitcher out there pitching, whose name escapes me, but. That's just unconscionable. I should have known that they were going to be decent. I didn't think they were going to be this good. But Arizona and Colorado floor me because they are a bunch of quote unquote no names, and they are getting it done. And while we're talking, like I said, we're going through the league and we're randomly scattering all over the place. Let's talk a little bit about your Mets because are they salvageable?
No.
Even if they get all their good players, healthy again.
I think they're quickly running out of time.
Well,
they're 30-36.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're going to make up 11 games. With Washington.
Not with Washington. You're probably right, but they could still. But they could still.
But then coming out of that West that we were just.
Yeah,
talking
you're right.
about,
Yeah, they're still 10 games behind.
They're so far behind in the wild card slots that they're only getting worse with injuries.
Well, I see they got Matz at least showed up and pitched last night. So, I mean, they needed somebody.
Still lost though.
Yeah, but he went 7 innings, didn't walk anybody.
Right.
A couple hits. I mean, 8 hits. He didn't pitch a great game by any measure, but at least he's healthy and looks like he can contribute. But they need the DeGrom and Syndergaard and this Matz.
And Syndergaard is one of those guys he's on the DL right now.
Yeah.
And they're all like, well, when do you think he's coming back? And it's like, we don't know yet. So it's probably worse than.
That's usually, we're taking our time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's going to have some rehabs when he comes back. You know how that goes.
Right. And then, of course, Matt Harvey, he's on the disabled list.
And what about Zach Wheeler?
He actually pitched a good game, and then he pitched a bad game his last outing.
Is he just not got his magic yet?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
But I mean, a couple of games ago he was pretty impressive, but then he came out and threw a stinker.
Well, we've all seen guys do that, and we've been there. But let's just go back. You got Minnesota after 64 games. 1 game up on Cleveland, 3 games up on Detroit.
Right.
And I think Cleveland's going to run away with that division still. I just don't see Minnesota being a 500 baseball team, and I don't see Detroit. Detroit might be the slowest team I've ever seen assembled,
Right.
but they got their 2, 3, and 4 hitters can rocket the ball. They just can't run the bases.
Right.
So, but it looks like Cabrera's heating up a little bit, and the Martinez boys are doing what they can. But we'll see.
Well, I know you're not a big fan of Minnesota, but there they are still.
They are there by one.
I know you're saying they've got a no-name team, but
They have not only a no-name team, but I really don't like Sano. Hey, I've always I don't mean to dump on him, but
Right.
he plays like he's like the Puig of infielders. I mean, he's not paying attention. I mean, and some of you think somebody would grab him, but I guess he's such a diamond in the rough in terms of what he can do productively, offensively, what he can do that nobody's going to give him a hard time. But it's a shame to watch him play third base
well,
because he doesn't care.
yeah,
He doesn't give a darn.
Right.
He's like watching, and he's still playing. No, he didn't start like Pablo Sandoval is still kicking around playing for the Red Sox at third base. He looks like maybe he really does want to win, but he looks like he can't play baseball.
right,
And they keep playing him.
yeah.
He's a switch hitter. He can bat 215 from either side. And, I'm just amazed.
Right.
But the rest of the Red Sox lineup obviously can carry him through. This Mookie Betts is as good a player as there is in baseball. He's really good.
Yeah.
And he's not big, but he's spirited. He's not conceited. He doesn't have a big head. He just plays good, hard baseball.
Well, the Yankees losing 4 in a row has let Boston back into the running there.
But the Yankees are going to go with their pitch. Their batting order is going to be really good.
Yeah.
And their pitcher's got to bail them out. Tanaka's got to get back on the saddle. Severino's good. Pineda used to be hit and miss, but I think he's been more hit than miss this year.
Yeah.
And
unfortunately, all 4 of those guys have through bad games this past
but
week.
after when you win that many and when you're 38 and 20 or 2 or whatever they were, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But what you got to do is they're still good enough that you keep running a good pitcher out every night.
Right.
So you're probably going to end the string's going to end somewhere.
Right.
And I really like the Yankees now. I actually like them a little better than the Red Sox, to be sure.
Right.
And but the Red Sox have a bunch of guys that they're trying to. I'm not sure I'm big on the Red Sox manager. I've watched him make what I consider to be some really intriguing baseball decisions. Like I said, guy I live with is a big Red Sox fan, and he's watching them all the time. And I like to watch the game. I mean, they're offensively good games, but I think they run. This Farrell, I guess he's fine, but I just can't figure out where he's coming from half the time with his decisions. But then again, he's in the American League,
Right.
and the managers don't have to do anything in the American League. That's always been my stance. But no, you make it the East in a nutshell. Tampa Bay has surpassed Toronto and Baltimore. Toronto paying $800 million to Batista. They get what they deserve. Tampa Bay with the pitching lineup they have, they're going to get what they deserve. And
they're 500 now.
Yeah,
so
but Baltimore 32-34
well,
with nobody batting over 250. I mean, good grief.
we had talked about Baltimore and Buck Showalter, and I asked you if he was on the hot seat.
Yeah, he's on the hot seat. He's comprised a bunch of guys that hit 240, that hit 35 to 4 home runs, and a 78 RBIs. I mean, if you shut their big hitter, if you shut 2 guys in their lineup down, and you shut them down and alternate it every day, they're done.
Yeah.
They're done. They're not going to score any runs, and they are. They've been 2-8, and the last 10. So, but good grief, just like the NFC National League Central. Look at Minnesota, Cleveland, Detroit, Kansas City, and Chicago. Chicago's 5 games back. 5 games back. Now, I don't know how they're doing that. They must be doing it with Maris, because I don't see them having a especially gifted team. But good for them. They're back in the saddle. Kansas City's even back, and name 3 players from Kansas City.
Don't know.
That's my point. But that's so the American League. That kind of wraps it up in a nutshell. They've Houston looks like they're going to romp. It's going to be between the Yankees and Boston, in my humble opinion.
Right.
And I think Cleveland's going to run away with the Central
Well, you say
Division.
run away. I don't see it. I mean, they may.
Who's good enough to stay with them?
Well, I'm just saying. Well, they're all hanging around 500.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying.
I don't think
when
I
the
just
dust settles, I think one of them will squeak it out. I don't think anybody's going to run away with that.
all right.
Out of those 3.
I'm going to predict by the All-Star game
Well, that's
that Cleveland's up 5.
okay. All right.
No, that's not
I'm writing that.
Write it down. Yeah, yeah. I wonder why you're pulling your wallet out and taking all these 20s. I said, wait a minute.
I'm not Pete
maybe
Rose.
it was maybe that was a stupid decision. But like I said, in the National League, you're right. The Nationals, Colorado, LA, and Arizona, 3 great teams. May the best team win. And in the Central, where somebody's going to win with like a 86 and 76 record, whoever can do it deserves it. But you got to believe that the Cubs are going to eventually get out of their funk. Although their pitchers have Kendricks is on the disabled list. Lester isn't pitching well,
Right.
and Arrieta's not pitching well. Those are their 3 aces.
And
And
he's a little lame, Arrieta.
Yeah, and Lackey hasn't been.
Nope.
He's been okay, but not great. So they went from having 4 stellar starters to nobody that's dominating when they pitch.
Yeah.
Lester can still throw a good game. Arrieta can still pitch a good game, but Kendricks was their glue, and he's hurt for a while.
Right.
So that being said, that is our wrap up on the baseball, and it's exciting. I think these last 4 weeks before the All-Star game really set the tone for where teams are going to be going.
Yeah.
We'll have a good idea at the All-Star game exactly what's going to happen, I think.
Okay, Cleveland up by 5. I don't know.
That's what I said. Watch me.
All right. You are listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We are sponsored by Bill Bryant, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their phone number is 352-787-2223. And we will be coming back for the last segment of the show for today. And we probably have some rants. I know I do. Be right back after this. We are back with Red Zone Radio here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. And this is their last segment.
I did while we had that little break, I did something. I think you'll find this interesting. I hope the listeners find this interesting because it supports my contention. So obviously I like it.
Right.
But I didn't realize it was quite like this. You had in the games, and I've got only the box scores from. Well, I guess I got almost all the games, but I got box scores after the 5th inning. So 5 innings pitched by your team. So 4 innings. There were 62 pitchers used after the fifth inning. After the 5th inning,
Right.
5 pitched more than 1 inning. 57 pitchers pitched 1 inning or less.
Right.
And maybe that's not a revelation. But like I said, to me it's part of what I'm starting to find is a problem with baseball, and it's the specialization. And I was complaining to you off the air, the Pirates, who needed this game desperately. They're at home. They're playing the Cubs. Their best pitcher is a guy named Felipe Rivera. And they bring him in the 8th inning. He pitches an inning, strikes out 2 guys, nothing. They're up 4-3. They yank him. Didn't bat for him. They yanked him.
Right.
And brought in another guy who got shelled. That happens. But the fact of the matter is, would it have been so rotten and tough to leave your best pitcher on your team and let him pitch to a couple more guys?
Right.
And I don't understand this philosophy of everybody's a 1-inning pitcher. Why?
Yeah, I don't
What?
get it either.
What? Gossage to Colby, Eckersley,
Yep.
they pitched 3. They pitched 2 and a third.
Right.
Why? It doesn't make sense to me.
And effectively.
Yes. Okay, so you can't pitch. Okay, pitch 3 innings, so you can't pitch tomorrow. Okay.
Right.
Now at least you understand. Well, I can't bring Eckersley in. He pitched a third of a game.
Right.
But this idea, if we only use him an inning, maybe we can use him the next night too.
Right.
And I think, well, okay, but if he's not effective in the inning you used him, why in the heck would you want to use him the next night? And the fact of the matter is, especially like I said, this I put on the manager. When you're up, and they were up 4-3 going into the 9th inning with their ace of their staff, the guy's pitched, he's got a .76 ERA. Yeah, they're not hitting him.
Right.
And, okay, somebody gets a hit off him, that's fine. But no, don't. Well, you got somebody who obviously at least has some decent stuff if he struck out 2 guys and didn't let anybody get on base. Don't you think maybe he might be a decent guy to keep in for another inning? But instead, they bring some guy who obviously hadn't had decent numbers. But why make the change anyhow?
Right.
I don't get it. And I don't think anybody's going to. It happened all throughout the league. I mean, Miami, they had a guy pitch into the 7th inning, Straley. Then he had 3 more pitchers pitch 2 2/3 innings. Newcomb from Atlanta pitched 6 innings. 1 inning, 1 inning, a third of an inning, and 2/3 of an inning. I'm just calling the pitchers. Philadelphia, their starter goes 6, then their last 3 relievers. Inning.
Right.
Inning. They can't go more than an inning. You can't. Detroit, Detroit gets the prize. They pulled their guy after 6 innings. They put a guy in, they pitched him 2 innings. He didn't give up a base runner. After 1 inning, I'm surprised they didn't yank him. Maybe somebody said, well, they're not hitting him too well. And then, so they didn't win the game anyhow. But, I mean, good grief. Cincinnati, they pulled their guy after 6 innings, 2 runs. 1 inning in the 7th, 1 guy in the 8th, 1 guy in the 9th for an inning. And I think it can't be that hard. It cannot be that hard to let a guy pitch to 6 batters.
Yeah.
It can't be if you're in a major league level. I'm just curious what you think of that, because it just absolutely frosts me, because it is copycat. Somebody did this, and I guess they won some games.
Right.
And it smacks of freezing the place kicker in football. Well, everybody else is doing it. I guess I got to do it.
Yeah.
You don't know if it's doing any good or not. All you know is everybody. Well, last time we froze a guy, somebody missed. I said, well, if you let him kick, maybe more people would have missed it. Right. You don't know.
Yeah.
So, I'm just amazed. But this, what are you saving pitches? Is that what they think? If he pitches 1 inning, he can go tomorrow night. Maybe they can't. I don't know. But I mean, why were you telling me you can't pitch to 6 batters one night and then you're out of gas for the next night? I don't believe that. I don't believe it. At a major league level, with the strength of their arms, baloney. But
and therein lies the key strength of their arms, because we had the manager of the Leesburg Lightning on here.
Right,
They have
Coach Billings.
Right,
yeah.
and they have some rules. These aren't his rules; these are the league rules.
League rules, yeah.
And limiting pitchers,
numbers of pitches.
Right.
Yeah.
And these guys coming into, and they do that in the minor leagues as well. And these guys aren't pitching 9 innings anymore.
No.
And they might be pitching a great game, but yank them out.
You got to take them out.
They've hit 80 pitches, so they're done.
Well, that isn't happening here, obviously, because they're pitching 15 pitches. But I'm just amazed that.
Well, that's my point. It's like I can't believe that a major league pitcher can't pitch
do it.
2 innings.
That's what I mean. And I dare I say it, I can't. I can see 3 games in a row. Not 4.
Right.
I would say, in fact, if you pitch a guy 3 games in a row, that may be pushing a little bit.
Right.
Because they usually don't do that.
Right.
But this thing where, and this is where that niche comes in. Well, he's our 6th inning guy, our 7th inning guy, right there. Baloney. Put that guy in that can get the guys out.
Yeah.
And win the game, and then plan for the next game who's available to you.
Right.
But do not blow a game playing this stupid. Well, he's only my seventh
Right.
inning pitcher.
And then
right?
the lefty righty thing that also drives me.
And then you hear the guys. Well, they're bringing the lefty to pitch to the lefty, but he actually hits lefties better. And I think, what? Okay, okay, who cares? I mean,
Right.
nobody seems to care about that.
Well-
I would think somebody should have pointed that out to the manager.
And then and then the other thing on that is you get like a lefty starting pitcher, and that's great in your rotation. Well, I mean, if it's not good for a reliever, why is it good for your starting
Exactly
rotation?
right. Yeah.
It's like,
But
some of
but
these,
but I like I said, I'm glad I got that off my chest because and nobody challenges it.
right.
People interview managers all the time. I see Farrell and Clint Hurdle from the Pirates and Collins, Terry
Yeah, Terry Collins, the Mets.
from the Mets, and nobody says, "I want to talk to you about how you're using these guys."
Right. They're too busy asking him if this is a must-win situation.
Yeah. And who's the comedian said,
Right.
the second game of the series, in hockey. He said, second game. Guy says, "You lost the first game. Is this a must-win?" You like to manage to say, "Well, since I know the rudiments of math, no." but just getting back to this, the basics. It is to me troubling that almost everybody is doing it.
Yeah.
And one of the guys that left his guys in for more than one inning was already losing 8-0, and he let the guy just do mop up. So he pitched. He was pitching the last 3 innings. So it actually gets down to where it's basically there's 2 mop up games. So 60 pitchers, not counting the mop ups, 60 pitchers and 3 threw over 1 inning.
Right.
I don't
Yeah,
get it.
I don't get it either.
Good. Okay. Because I thought
I totally
maybe
agree with
there's
you.
a simple solution to this, and I'd love to hear somebody explain it to me.
Right.
But and like I said, I wish I could get Coach Billings on again. I would just love to know. Well, I know his situation's different.
Yeah.
But I would be curious because if I sat down, the first question I'd have for a manager, if I got to sit with one,
Right.
that would be the question.
Yeah.
When did this happen?
Yeah.
That everybody can only pitch an inning.
Right.
Even if you want to use them tomorrow night or the night after.
Right.
Can't they pitch 2? Gossage, Ticovey, Eckersley. I'll start naming all the guys.
You know it's a
Relief pitchers that pitched 140 innings when they pitched relief. Okay, 70 games, 140 innings.
Is it self-fulfilling prophecy that you go, okay, this is the 7th inning guy, and then he just can't do it in any other time? You know, because, I mean, what's the difference between the 7th, 8th, 9th, 1st?
There is
3rd?
no
Right.
difference. And the same thing, and I'm sorry, I don't buy he's used to starting off the inning.
Right.
Well, then he's not a very good relief
Right.
pitcher because
Well-
sometimes you need him to come in when there's guys on base.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't
Right.
want to hear, well, he's not used to this situation.
Right.
Well, that's your fault. If you've saved this guy from facing inherited base runners and coming in the 8th inning when he's used to pitching the 9th, shame on you.
Yeah.
Because if the guy's part of your team and you want to win the game, sometimes you're going to have to use him.
Yeah.
And please, but that is the biggest bugaboo I have with professional baseball, and I love it. Well, that in the DH. I don't see what a good manager is in the American League.
Right.
But we've had that one. But this one bothers me even more.
Yeah.
It really does. So I know you like the two. I do actually. I thought about it. The two leagues being a little different.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, but then don't play each other.
Well, yeah, but I don't like the interleague play.
Yeah,
I-
that's.
I
That's what I mean.
don't-
What I don't like is, since you're in the National League team, you have to play by National League rules.
Right.
That's not fair to the American League team.
Well,
And
see, I hate
it's-
that word fair.
Well,
Because
you're right.
when I hear fair, it's like too bad.
Fair is. It's not fair. You're right. Fair is a bad word. It's not. It shouldn't be acceptable.
Right.
If I've got
See,
a
I just like it. I like, because I like, I like it, the fact that it stirs things up.
I don't.
It's like,
I'm not used to. I'm not used to giving an out up.
Yeah.
I'm an American League manager. I'm not used to having an easy out in the lineup.
It's always fun watching.
Now I
pitchers
do. I'm not used to having guys bat for people. I'm
Right.
used to having them on my bench if I need them later on. Now they're not because I'm playing 6 games against
Right.
the National League.
Well, what's amazing is you get these pitchers that come up, and they basically play their whole career as a pitcher. A lot of pitchers coming up, they've played other positions and they see that they can pitch, so they move and pitcher. But some of these guys who have pitched their whole life hardly ever have taken an at bat because
but that's my point.
all of the beneath Major League Baseball have designated hitters, and it's like.
But
and
that, but
I
although
like seeing pitchers hit. I don't care that they bat 100. I like to see a pitcher.
And not only that, what's cool about the game, I was watching the Philadelphia Phillies play the Red Sox
right.
in Philadelphia, and they won 1-0. But it was 0-0 after 7. And the Pirates, the Red Sox let Chris Sale bat. It's in Philadelphia. He hadn't
Right.
swung a bat. He hit the ball off the wall in left field for a double. And I thought, you know what, these guys probably, I would think Major League players, if I was a manager, I would make everybody take batting practice because if I've got pitchers that can hit the ball,
Right.
and I need a pinch hitter or something, I might throw them in if I don't want to waste one of my guys that early in the game. But but he ran the base. I mean, he hit it and he ran like an all-star. I mean, and they left. Obviously, they stranded him. They lost 1-0, and then he gave up a run next inning. And what do you think they said?
Oh, he had to run to
He got
second
tired.
base, yeah.
He got tired,
Right.
and he still struck out 13 guys. He struck out 3 guys in the 8th inning, but he gave up a run. But
Right.
he was getting tired.
Right.
But somebody just happened to hit one
Yeah.
at the right time off him. But that's amazing to me. I'm just glad to hear somebody else listen to me go into that and agree with me for the most part on
Yeah.
it, because I guess managers have to justify, and like I said, like into football, coaches, they have to burn their timeout. So because it's like the cardinal sin in football is to go into the locker room without having used all 3 of your timeouts.
Right.
That's a cardinal sin.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to hear coaches go, we didn't need them.
Right.
I didn't use them because we didn't need them.
Right.
But nobody is. Oh, we've got to freeze the kicker, or we've got to have a huddle. Make sure that they don't return this with 20 seconds left. Make sure they don't return the kickback for a touchdown. I mean, come on.
Right.
Can't we at least know we're dealing with professional players? But that's that. By the way, have you? I didn't see. Have we seen Ralph yet?
Yeah, he's in
Oh,
the
Ralph
house.
is in the house. That's good, because he's usually my makes me look up at the clock, and I
Right.
thought, I haven't seen Ralph,
No, he
and I
came-
did look up at the clock.
He
So,
came in here. Ralph will be here with River Jordan and friends after our show.
which will be great.
Yes.
And if you have not listened to that is great gospel music.
Yeah.
River Jordan, great music. A lot of the great groups. So we appreciate that. And again, I thank you very much for letting me get that off my sleeve,
Well,
because
you're very
I
welcome.
always wondered, do people think about that? I suspect they don't. I suspect that nobody's looking at these box scores going, nobody pitches more than an inning.
Yeah.
And that, for some reason, grinds me to the point where I can't stomach it anymore.
Me too.
So,
Because I just remember, I hate to say the old days because I don't really think of
no,
myself
we're not
as
the old days. The old days are the 60s and 70s.
But
Yeah.
but even later on than that,
Sure.
these guys would come in the 7th inning with bases loaded and
Always.
pitch,
Always.
2-3.
And the
innings.
guys, I keep using Gossage. Gossage is in the Hall of Fame. Eckersley's in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
They pitched 130 to 140 innings a year
Right.
in relief.
Yeah.
And they could start if they wanted to, and you knew they had strong enough arms.
Yeah.
But this specialist, Joe Horner, come in, he's only pitching to one lefty, and then he's out of the game. I mean, once that started, and that was La Russa,
Right.
everybody started doing it. And look what it's come up with. Nobody can pitch more than an inning. Baloney.
Right. Well, thank you, Bob.
Thank you for that rant, everybody. I'll talk to you next week.
Great. And we will see you next week here on Red Zone Radio Sports, sponsored by Bill Bryan Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Stay tuned for Ralph with River Jordan and friends after these messages, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.